Hi everyone, we're going to talk about segment bisectors today. We've already learned about segments and now we're going to talk about what happens if they're bisected. Remember that bisected means that there are going to be two congruent pieces. So two equal parts. So just remember that bisected means two equal parts. All right, so a midpoint is similar to a bisector. So a midpoint is a point on a segment. A midpoint, you could probably guess from the word midpoint, middle point. It's a point on a segment that divides it into two equal parts. So let's look at some examples because I know that I've given these in the past and sometimes students don't do really well on these. So let's look at example number 1. Is M a midpoint, Y or Y not? So you have to ask yourself, is M the middle of a segment? Well, we do have a segment here. It's segment JK. So yes, see how these marks are right here? This means that these are the same. So that means JM and MK are equal to each other. So M is a midpoint. Yes, M makes JK into two equal or congruent, I'm going to draw the congruent symbol, parts. Two congruent parts. Okay? Let's look at number 2. Is M the midpoint? Now, a lot of students, when I've given them this problem in the past, have said yes, but it's actually not because it has to divide up a segment. And look at this. Is this a segment? No. What is this? It's an angle. So no, because JK doesn't exist. There is no segment JK. There is no segment JK. It looks like an angle to me. So M is not a midpoint, okay? Number 3, let's talk about that. Is M a midpoint there? Now, if you just glance at number 3, you might think, yeah, M's a midpoint. I see this, and I see this, and they match, and we're all good. But actually, M is not a midpoint. What is the midpoint of this picture? K. So you want to say, no, K is the midpoint. K is the midpoint. Okay? So just be careful with those. They're going to try to trick you a little bit, and you don't want to fall for their shenanigans. All right, let's go down here. Example, if K is the midpoint of segment FG, then what's the length of FK and KG? Well, if K is the midpoint of FG, then these two segments here are the same length. In other words, FK must equal KG. Well, if that's a midpoint, then wouldn't you say that these are both half of FG? Right? Aren't they both half of FG? If these are both the same, FK would be half of FG, and KG would be half of FG. So what you want to do is take 36 and divide it by 2, and use your calculator, and you will end up getting 18. So 18 not only equals FK, but 18 also equals KG. It equals both of them. Okay, so you have to think your way through it. Let's talk about this next example. If H is the midpoint of WS, what's the length of WS? Well, H is the midpoint, and if it's a midpoint, then these two pieces are the same length. So if WH is 2.1, then what is HS? It's also 2.1. And now let's go back to some segment addition. I know people try not to use letters, but I like to, show the letters here whenever I have a chance. So little piece WH plus little piece HS gives you the big piece, which is WS. Well, WH is 2.1, and HS in our picture is 2.1, and they both equal WS when you add them together. And when you add them together, you get 4.2 as WS. Now, some of you probably could look at it and tell me it's 4.2, and that's completely fine, but I wanted to kind of show you the algebra behind it so you could see it. I would like you to try number 3. So you try number 3 and bring that to class. So you will need to have it tried to get the full credit. It's okay to get it wrong. I just want you to try it. It's really tough, I think, especially because this section's new for you. So if you don't get it wrong, that's okay. You'll get to fix it. But I would like you to try that one for class. You could pause it now and try it if you want to, or you could wait till the end and go back and try it on your own. Okay? Gonna go to this next page. We have a midpoint formula. So not everything is on a segment like that. Sometimes that segment is out on the coordinate plane, okay? So that means that the endpoints of that segment look like this. So let's look at number 2. I'm actually going to skip to number 2. Basically, to find the midpoint, we add our x values and divide by 2, and we add our y values and divide by 2. So if you label your points, this is x and y, and this is x and y. And the little 1 means that's your first point, and the 2 means that's your second point. And if we follow this formula right here, we can find our midpoint. So we add our x's together, and we divide by 2. And then we add our y's together, and we divide by 2. So then 4 plus a negative 3 is going to give you 1, so that's 1/2. And 0 plus negative 1 gives you negative 1, so negative 1/2. And you know what? It would take more time to type that in the calculator or to write another step. I'm just going to leave that as a fraction. So the midpoint between these two numbers on a coordinate plane would be 1/2 comma negative 1/2. So now that I've went over that example, I would like you to try number 1 here, okay? It's not going to be a fraction. It'll actually work out to be a pretty number. So you try number 1, bring that to class. Let's see if you got it right. And if you don't get it right, that's okay. We'll correct it when you come in. All right? You can pause it now and do it, or you can go back at the end and finish up all the ones I asked you to try. It's up to you. A segment bisector. So remember, a bisector means 2 equal parts. So a segment bisector, it could actually be a ray that busts up your segment, or it could be a line that busts up your segment, or it could actually just be another segment that busts up your segment. So something is crossing your segment right at its midpoint. Imagine a segment in your mind, and then imagine something just crossing over that segment right at the middle, right at the midpoint. Okay, so that's what we're going to talk about here. So looking at this picture, look for the segment first. So the segment in the picture, and I'm going to go ahead and write that out, our segment in this picture is what? Segment AB. Okay? So now you're looking for the thing that's crossing over the segment that's splitting it into 2 equal parts. And it looks like to me that it's this right here. And what is that? Is that a line? Is that a segment? Is that a ray? And that's definitely a ray. And make sure when we write our rays, we start with the end point and where it's shooting out from. So our segment bisector in this picture is ray XY. Where does this ray go through the segment? Where does it go through AB? It goes through it at W. So it goes through at W. W is your midpoint. Okay? So that's all of the vocab you're going to need to know for these. So let's look at this first example down here. If line S is a segment bisector of FH, let's stop there. Stop right there. Look at line S. It's splitting FH into 2 equal pieces. So we know that this piece and this piece is equal. It says, what is X? Let's stop there. Can we find what X is right away? Well, we know that this piece and this piece are equal. Matter of fact, let's just make this point A, and I can show you what I mean by that. We know that FA is equal to AH, okay? And if that's true, what is FA in our picture? What do we have it labeled as? It's 2x plus 1. And AH in our paper is labeled as 19. So now we're going to solve this. So the first thing we're going to do to both sides to get x alone is subtract the 1. So we'll have 2x equals 18 once we subtract 1 from both sides. Then what you want to do is divide both sides by 2. And when you do this, you end up getting 9. Okay, so we've already answered what x is, but it also said what's the length of FH. So let's look at what FH is made up of. FH would be FA plus AH. So FA plus AH. Now, some students are really good at seeing this, but I was not one of them, so I'm just going to brush past this really quickly. Some students would notice that A is a midpoint. And if A is a midpoint, then this piece is 19, and also this piece is 19. And they would just add them together and be done with this part of the problem. And that would be completely correct, But I guess I just wasn't one of those students. So what I would have noticed is that FA is 2x plus 1, and AH is 19, and I would have put them in right here. So 2x plus 1, and then plus 19. We know what x is because we just found it. X is 9. So FH equals 2 times 9, and then let's go ahead and add the 1 and the 19 together. So plus 20. All right, well, what's 2 times 9? 2 times 9 is 18. So we've got 18 plus 20, which is, what is that one? That's going to get you 38. And FH is 38. So you've answered both of the questions then, okay? You know what? The next one is very similar to that. So I would like you to try this one on your own and bring it to class. So you've got 3 problems to try on your own, bring them to class. Remember, if I went too fast, you can back it up and rewatch it. I always suggest to students that they watch it the first time and then the second time re-watch it, but like write everything down. So that way the second time you don't really have to listen, you can just write. So it's totally up to you, whatever works best for you and whatever is best for your learning style. All right, I'll see you in class. Finish those ones up for us. See you then.